I just really wanted to like throw down. But how do you react? How do you perform when you got something going like wrong with you? You know, you're exposed to different things, violence, drugs, abuse. You can put me in there with anybody, and I will hold my own against anyone.
Monica, I really appreciate you coming in. I'm excited for our discussion. I don't know a lot about you, and so this is going to be a great opportunity for your followers to learn a little bit more about you too. Monica is an incredibly unique individual, not just because she is a successful bare knuckle fighter, but your personality is contagious. I love the videos that we've done so far, even though they're little ones. But I would kind of like to find out, how did you end up coming to us? I don't even, to be honest, I don't even know who it was that exposed you to the product initially.
Steve.
Steve did?
Steve, yeah. We was at Vasa. I was training with some of my teammates, was in the sauna. And then I overheard them talking story about this product and how it helped athletes. See, local talk, I'm like athletes. But athletes. The local in me, athletes.
That's
but
okay.
the you know, trying the professional side of me, athletes. He was talking about athletes and what it was doing for them, especially on the cardiovascular end and especially on the lactic acid? Yeah, lactic acid, and how that was helping them endurance-wise. And then I overheard him saying, yeah, like there's like some altitude athletes on it. And I had just recently at that time come up to Hawaii from Utah, probably a few months into it or so. And I was like, bro, I was dying. Like the altitude was like so like rough, like right? Seriously rough, bro. Like, and then hearing that, I'm just like, I'm just trying to get all the help I can get, you know? So I started talking story with him, and yeah, that's how it came to be. And he's like, yeah, you know, da 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 da. And it's like, oh shoot, like, yeah, let's go. And I got it before my fight, which I still believe was a big beneficial for me in that fight, because I wasn't like super like training how I am now, like consistent, because of life situations and everything that I was going through. So I wasn't like consistently training, but yeah, I was posting shit because I wanted to fight. You know, I wanted to fight. I was coming out of like some stuff that I just really wanted to like throw down, and the opportunity came up. It was last minute and I took it anyways. And if it wasn't for the product, I think it would have been such a worse performance. And I ended up getting fight of the night.
Yeah.
And I think honestly, had I just probably paced it a little bit more, I wouldn't have looked as tired as I did. But I was tired, but it's not like she was going to knock me out. Like, okay, I was tired, but I wasn't like, I didn't feel any danger. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, you know, I got to take a knee or whatever. I was just like, okay, I'm bleeding, I'm breathing, I'm flowing, I'm tired. But I mean, that's what makes fights, that's what makes the moments of, a true competitor, in my opinion. You hear Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant talk about it all the time. Like, you are at your best when you're like, in the beginning of the rounds. But how do you react? How do you perform when you got something going like wrong with you? How do you maintain composure?
Absolutely.
So I think that I learned a lot in that fight, and I definitely know that the product did help me in endurance-wise and just continue to push through. You know, it's the first time I ever got cut too, so I was just like, oh shit, like, but I was okay.
Wait a minute,
I was cool.
That was in bare knuckle fighting, that was the first time you've ever got cut?
Yeah, and all like my MMA fights and all my other fights and stuff like that. That's the first time I ever got cut. And fun fact about me is I get queasy when like I see blood, like straight up. So I always wondered how I would handle like if something like that happened to me. And we was good. I was good. I was like real good. Yeah.
That absolutely shocks me, because I just assume like,
yeah.
Because I'll be honest, bare knuckle fighting is not something I'm familiar with as a sport.
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
Trust me, I've split this lip. I've almost broken my nose off my face with street fights, but
Bruh, yeah, that's pretty savage.
Not in a cage, you know what I mean?
That still qualifies though, that's legit.
my dad was a fighter pilot, and so I'm the oldest, and he would always say, you never allow someone to talk negatively about your mother, and you never allow someone to pick on someone weaker than them.
Yeah, yeah.
But he didn't teach me how to fight, so I'm out there splitting lips, becoming a punching bag for other people.
Experiences though, you live and you learn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I get really queasy. Like there was one time where I gashed my 2 shins open because I was just
fight?
No, just in training.
Yeah.
Not even in training. I was trying to show my mom something back at home in Hawaii and jumping to show like my box jump skills.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look, Ma, look, I can make this. I jump, and then so this is like the box, like my toes, I land, my toes slip, my shins go boom right into the metal.
Man.
And then I'm like looking like, oh, I'm good. I'm walking it off. And then the next, blood starts pouring. I'm like, oh, Ma. I dropped to the ground. I'm like, Ma.
Yeah. Oh.
So thank God I can handle getting cut in fights. It was, I was proud of that moment.
Let's go down that path a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was Monica's life like growing up? You lived your whole life in Hawaii up until recently?
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
Which island?
Oahu.
Maui? Oh, Oahu. You're wearing a Maui hat.
Yeah, because my dad is originally from Maui.
Okay.
And Maui's my favorite island. Even though I grew up on Oahu, I do love Maui. And then I got my cousins. They own a coffee shop in Maui. It's been there for about 20 years. It's called Grandma's Coffee House. They still make the coffee like how Grandma made it back then, great Grandma. And then I got some other cousins who are DJs over there and stuff like that. So, but I mean, yeah, my life was colorful. You grow up. Waianae is considered, I guess, the hood of Hawaii. Through my journey and talking story with people and their situations, like Waianae is not hood at all. But however, in my experience, it was hood enough. You're exposed to different things, violence, drugs, abuse of all kinds. I got bullied a lot. My parents there's moments where my parents had to work, so I was kind of left alone a lot with my brother. We kind of fended for ourselves, yes and no. So yeah, just probably a combination of things that led me into the realm of martial arts, where I first started in Taekwondo and I got my black belt there. Some kids were just being horrible, and I was just done with it at that moment in time because I had dealt with it my entire life from, like cousins and people that you expected to trust, but then, they're like some of the worst ones to you, or, just people that you put your faith and your trust in, and they're who you don't expect them to be.
Yeah.
However, in this instance, it was just some mean girls at school that was badgering again. And so I broke down and went home, was telling my mom what happened and stuff like that. My auntie caught wind of it, and she's like, oh, nope, just come with me to this kickboxing program, which also offered Taekwondo. So I started in kickboxing there, just like to exercise and... But I also was I had that exposure to like fighting, and I would dabble in boxing, the community boxing gyms prior to that. But I was so insecure and anxiety out that I was never like super consistent. So I guess my auntie in a sense made me consistent with pursuing that. And so I did the kickboxing thing over there and then got my black belt under that program. And that's kind of where it all started. And yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So started kickboxing, went to Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it progressed to MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. So from Taekwondo, it just progressed into MMA, and then MMA for a whole long while. And then now we're here at Bare Knuckle Boxing. And I couldn't be more thrilled. It's always been my passion, you know, when I knew, like, when I started being more consistent and stuff, that is something that I really love to do. And but you don't necessarily, when you don't maybe have the, I wouldn't say, I mean, I'm not, so like, I guess if you don't fully have the guidance or ways to express it, you don't, as a kid, you don't really know what you can be capable of or what your potential is, or what you know, like, yeah, maybe I wanted, like, to do these things, but never really, you know. But I mean, throughout the journey, I knew that that was my passion, and you know, it's got me to a lot of incredible places. I mean, I may not be on the upper echelons of fighting, but I can tell you one thing: I know how to throw down. You can put me in there with anybody, and I will hold my own against anyone for sure at the highest levels.
How long have you been competitively fighting?
Competitively fighting, I would say like at least 10-ish years.
Wow.
And then my journey in martial arts and combative sports, over 15, because I started when I was 15.
Wow.
You know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, no, that's exactly, that's perfect. So now, over those years that you were fighting, all of those were in Hawaii?
Primarily, yeah. I had fought a lot in the local circuits, and then eventually got into the mainland bracket. There were some moments though where there was either a drop off because of injuries or just life situations that basically prolonged, you know, where I should have been, you know, or maybe because of those choices, I did lose out on probably opportunities that would have been there, you know, in bigger stages, like bigger promotions. But I mean, it's life, it happens, you know, and I'm still grateful because I mean, BKFC is one of the fastest growing sports right now. And I've always had a dream at one point in time fighting for the masses, and you know, I'm slowly but surely doing it. And yeah, it's just it's hard work, but I mean, I'm gonna keep working for it.
Yeah. So the mainland bracket, that's what took you to Miami for this most recent fight. Mm-hmm. Have you fought other fights on the mainland?
Yeah, I fought a couple of times in Kansas with Invicta FC. As an MMA fighter, and then I fought in Denver with BKFC, and then the rest of them was locally for sure. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess the question is, you could probably live anywhere on the mainland. How did you choose Utah?
My ohana's here.
Oh, okay.
My auntie that we're super close to, she originally was moving up here with her ohana. However, she didn't get the opportunity to make it here. So.
Okay, there's something way deeper there.
Oh, yeah. No, she was.
Do you not want to talk about that?
No. She's a good person. She just passed away from cancer, so.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
This was back in Hawaii, not here? Mm-hmm. Were you able to be there for the funeral?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so she was the one who kind of like ideated it, and then my dad and her are super close, and so was my mom, and they just kind of eventually followed suit for their own reasons, you know, not necessarily hers, but they knew that she was coming. So I think that kind of, you know, made it a little bit more transitional and stuff. But however, she didn't make it, but.
Sorry.
Yeah, my cousins, they're some of my heroes, man. Like, it just, you know, they've been through a lot, so for sure, yeah.
They're still on the mainland.
They are.
I mean, they're still in Hawaii.
They are in St. George.
Oh, okay.
They're in St. George, and some of them are here too in Lehigh and Orem and stuff. So yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that.
No, not at all. It's obvious that the love that you have for her, and I'm sorry.
No.
I didn't realize that was a nerve. I don't mean to-
No. It's good to
can
hit
edit that
nerves.
out.
Nerves are great. It's reality. You know what I mean? It's reality. And people are sometimes, I think, are so afraid to talk about things. But I mean, that's what it really is. You know, it's reality. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's life, bro. Yeah.
So most people don't know this, but I got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer 2 years ago.
Oh,
And I've lost so many family members. And so I'm
Sure.
like, stage 4, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like my first thought was, I could be done here. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That sounds horrible,
Sure.
but it was a learning process. You learn a lot about yourself. Actually, you learn a lot about every aspect of your life because people really handle grief differently.
Yeah.
And it can be interpreted differently. I think of myself as a nice guy, but I was a jerk. I
Sure.
apologize all the time to my doctors because I'm like,
Sure.
I'm so sorry. Like nothing really matters anymore because you're about to be out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your whole perspective changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's survivor's guilt because it's like, I'm here. I made it, right? But then I talked to someone else and, you know, they're like, oh, well, I lost my aunt. I lost my mom. And then it's like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
I don't know why I made it.
No, yeah. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that kind of is a struggle for you too because of that whole survivor's guilt. But that's completely understandable as to why you was a different person in that moment in time. Is like, you know, you're literally dealing with the fact that you might be dying.
Right.
You know, like my cousin talks about it. Like after they lost her, like literally right now for them, they're still picking up the pieces, and it's gonna take a lifetime. But it's like you just, you know, you don't know. It's just so fragile. Life is so fragile.
Right.
You know.
So how that had to have affected your training, that had to have affected, like, did you just kind of drop out of the circuit for a while or?
Honestly, for me, when things go like, I find that when I don't do anything, it's worse.
Right.
So even though maybe I wasn't competing, I was definitely still training because throughout my journey, I have found that it is such a huge source for me in my mental health and just my overall well-being more than anything.
Absolutely.
You know. So
Yeah.
for me, I immersed myself in work.
Yeah.
Because you say people handle grief differently. As I think I'd rather be like sad but moving than be sad and not moving at all. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, I gotta make progress somehow, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Plus, it's what you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gravitate towards what you know.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So that's what I did.
Wow. How did we end up going down that rabbit hole?
That, I mean, that's because that's what organic conversation does.
Yeah.
It just flows.
So help those of us who are not at your level understand a little bit more behind the curtain of bare knuckle fighting, because bare knuckle fighting that's pretty raw. Like,
Sure.
if you remember back when the Gracies first ran their article in Kung Fu magazine saying, we'll take on all comers, it was a little bit like a circus. Like you'd have basketball players fighting, wrestlers fighting. Like it was all no holds barred.
You're talking about the beginning UFCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like beginning of MMA.
Yeah.
It's almost like if you're bare knuckle fighting, it's kind of going back to that because it was a much bloodier sport when it was bare knuckle.
Yeah.
But there's been regulations that have kind of come in.
Absolutely.
So what are the regulations or I guess what are the parameters of bare knuckle fighting?
Well, like it's boxing rules, but with dirty boxing incorporations to
Dirty boxing incorporations?
Yeah, which I love. I love dirty boxing. But the doctors do a really good job and the refs do a really good job of like staying on cuts or like making sure, you know, fighters are coherent. I don't know the actual like full details as to how they go about it, but I I feel safe and comfortable enough in knowing that, you know, in their hands, knowing that they know what they're doing, because they're constantly checking for sure. Like after, like, especially with this cut, they was checking it. And then you got the cutmen too. They're working on you. They're icing you down. And no, they take their job seriously. So the regulations behind it, again, I'm sorry, I don't know the details, but from what I saw visually and experienced and felt, because that's what I can go off of, they do a good job of taking care of the fighters, for sure.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah. But as far as the sport itself, oddly enough, I really do love it. Yeah, you can probably call me crazy, but I grew up as a striker. So I love all combative sports. You know, you got MMA now, you got karate combate, you know, you still got boxing, Muay Thai, all of this stuff. But I like bare knuckle because it is very raw. And not everybody's going to be willing to step in there and do it. You know, that's another thing. I know that bare knucklers kind of get a bad rap for, you know, being just these brawlers or like non-technical, which is yes and no, kind of true. You know, you do have those in there, but there really is a skill set and a technique to doing it in a technical brawl sense. You know, like brawl, because they sound like I'm saying brawl right now. Technical brawl.
Right.
That I think is exciting, and it's fast. I said it before, it's fast and it's furious, and it's very much the first couple of rounds for me. I feel like it's just a lot of like natural reaction and moving fast paced, because it's 2-minute rounds anyways. So you kind of got to go with the flow. Right. And then it's towards those like those championship rounds. Then you can kind of start to like move a little bit more, set it up a little bit more, be a little bit more, you know, like, I would feel like you can kind of feint a little bit more, but those first couple rounds, there's no like time to like set up. It's just kind of like moving, going. But the punches for me, because I came from an MMA background, it feels the same. Like throwing it and receiving it feels the same for me. Yeah, I mean, we get more damage, but like for me personally, I don't know how every bare knuckle fighter is, but like getting punched feels the same. So that's why I'm like even more okay with it, you know, because I love striking and it's fun.
If you don't mind, if I point this out, you're a diamond in the rough.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is you're so bubbly. You have such a little girl at heart.
Oh, cool.
It's just really surprising to have this light from because fighting in every aspect of life, when they kind of refer to hitting rock bottom, when they refer to fighting their way up. You know what I mean? Fighting in its essence is, and I don't mean to call it hitting rock bottom, but like that's how you get off the bottom. Yeah. Is by fighting. Yeah. And so I just don't expect this bubbly, happy Monica. That's what's so unique to me about you is from the very beginning, it was like, she's special. I don't mean, I know that can be taken in a negative way, but what I mean is, like, I've never seen Tyson bubbly. I've never seen, you know what I mean? You think you have in your mind what a fighter is.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. I like that. I value that, because maybe it's just my my genuine passion for it more than anything. Probably I would have to say just the love for it. Yeah. Maybe my aloha spirit, you know, my culture.
Oh, that's definitely part of it.
You know, so I probably just a combination of that and just understanding, because we do go through dark moments, like you said. I think throughout my journey, I now understand how to manage things better from going through all of those dark moments. Maybe if you had interviewed me at a different moment in my life, it wouldn't have been as bubbly. Maybe not. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess now I'm just coming in and just making sure when I have conversations with people, I'm talking to them as if they're just like my cousins or just like, you know. And I think for me, that's the easiest way to operate these days. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. I value that. So yeah, mahalo. Yeah.
So something that I feel like goes along with excitement and bubbly is future outlook. And where do you see yourself staying in bare knuckle fighting over the next 5, 10, 15 years? Do you see something else on the horizon? Because I know you have different backgrounds. There's different fighting styles that you've learned.
Honestly, I mean, I would love to stay with bare knuckle. I mean, I feel like I found a home there. But at the end of the day, I just love fighting as long as it's striking base, you know. We'll see where it goes. As of right now, I am trying to like push for bare knuckle. I want to try and push for a belt one day. You know, that's always been the goal. When I was in MMA, that was a goal. When I was in Invicta, you know, and then I had bigger aspirations of getting into the UFC. And I think had I not made certain life choices with addictions or relationships and whatever, I probably would have been on that path. So like now for me, because I feel like I've had some chances in the past to get to that next level and I fucked it up and I'm here again trying to do it at 39 years old. I have a very small window, so it's probably more like 5 to 7 years. Like I'm really trying to just push for a belt, hopefully with BKFC at some point. You know, that's the end goal. It's always been the goal to get a belt somewhere. Even when I was competing in Taekwondo, like I had gotten to the point where I'm like, yeah, I want to try out for the Olympics one day and be like the first American Taekwondo medalist, gold medalist, because there's always Koreans winning it, you know. That shot never happened, again, because of injuries and my own, you know, my own choices at the time. And so, yeah, so a few times I had that path and it just, you know, for one reason or another. So I'm just trying not to let this one slip and just putting in the work and see where it goes. It may or may not happen, but I'm definitely going to call for it, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've said this over and over, but I have this weird fascination with experts. And what I mean is you've dedicated your life to one thing and you are perfecting a craft. And that craft is fighting.
Yes.
But there are sacrifices that you have to make in order to go to that level. And there are things that you learn that you may not even know that you've learned.
Yeah.
True. And most times you don't think that you're as unique as we think that you are, because you've just done it for so long. But it's incredibly rare. Like I can't even imagine what the percentage of people on the planet is, especially, and I hope this isn't my bias, but especially females.
Sure.
That are passionate about something so risky.
Sure.
I mean, I like most aspects of life that turn people into celebrities have to do with some form of adrenaline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when it comes down to two human beings fighting each other, there's nothing more raw. You know what I mean? You're not fighting the elements. You're not fighting a machine. You're fighting a thinking human being who can change things at a moment's notice.
Yeah, it really is a human chess match.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a lot like chess.
It is.
So, give us a little bit of an idea of. People just think of the striking, but it is a chess match. And so, what are some of the things that go into the background of you're not just throwing blows, or else you wouldn't be the best at what you're doing.
Correct.
What are some things that make you better than the majority of the people on this planet?
I honestly would have to just say hard work and consistency more than anything.
Right.
And following the right role models, I guess. You're right. I don't know, just a lot of hard work. And I watched a lot of footage just to like pick up on different things from different fighters, studying a lot of the fundamentals. It's just a whole bunch of different stuff, you know. Even as far as keeping your composure, envisioning, you know, what you're going to do, the winning and the losing, because like you got to be prepared for it all. So the mental preparation, being able to like read and react from the hours and hours that you put in of sparring with people, understanding body language, understanding what your body can do against theirs, because everybody is different. Literally everybody is different, right? Tall,
Absolutely.
short, you know, stronger, not stronger, quicker. So just, I guess the years of consistency and hard work and through getting my ass kicked over and over and over again and learning that way has brought me to that point where I'm definitely at a better understanding to where I know I can compete against the best of the best for sure.
Yeah.
And I take pride and confidence in knowing that whatever the outcome is, I know that I can go in there and win, or at least put myself in a good position to win, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be my answer to that question. Is just years of failure, hard work, consistency for sure, learning and making adjustments for sure, understanding that even though you love something, there's going to be the love-hate. So manage that so that you don't get on the track like I did and go off the wagon because this, that, or, you know, whatever it may be. So yeah, a lot of that.
So off the mat or out of the ring, there were so many things that you just said that are phenomenally close to NFL players, to all these other sports that we've talked to people about. But if we could touch on the fact that you started talking about what happened off the mat, right? So with consistency outside of your training, are there things that you do in your personal life to be consistent? Or do you take the same approach to your personal life that you do to your training and your fighting?
I feel like now I do. I feel like there were moments in my life where I did and I didn't, you know, for sure. But I think, oddly enough, like the training was something I always did consistently, but just the other stuff wasn't necessarily adding up. Like I was still training, but maybe I wasn't eating right. You know, I was still training, but, you know, like whatever it was at the time. So I think like at this moment in my life, since coming out of some toxicity, I feel like the clarity that I've been gaining since being, you know, up here in Utah, I feel like now, I feel like it all is connecting. Because back home, like I had the work ethic, but I was like busting ass, you know, because I had to like take care of my dog, take care of my girlfriend, work and pay, you know, and try. And then I had to train, and then I was working at the tiki bar. So that wasn't like so cool because then I ended up drinking at night, but then I was still training, but you know what I mean? So it's like, It wasn't like the work ethic and the mentality was there, and I was pushing and working in different ways, but it wasn't the work that I maybe necessarily wanted to do. But, you know, I had made sacrifices because I wanted to pursue that relationship, and, you know, but yeah, so, and I was still battling because I knew that I had that fight in me and I still wanted to like make a go at it, but you know, I had that inner battle going on too. And so, yeah, I mean, now in this moment in time, absolutely. Certain moments in my life when I was on like, absolutely. Always the case? No, not always the case, unfortunately. I would like to pretend and say like, yeah, I was this freaking person but no, I wasn't, you know, but
I mean, just like fighting, you learn from the good and the bad.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But yeah, now for sure. So.
It's weird how a lot of times when people go through dark phases, right? If you ask them, and if it's a gut check, most of them wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't wonderful. It wasn't preferred. And obviously, I think things may have been better if they hadn't. However, there's a lot to be learned from it.
Yeah.
When we talked about chess earlier, I love chess. I play it a lot. And in order to learn, you got to fail.
Yeah.
You got to lose, right?
Yeah.
But some losses are harder than others. Some of them I can just chalk it up and say,
I
okay,
know.
now I understand. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But some
Yeah, I
losses
know.
are harder than others.
I know.
And I take it personal. You know what I mean? Is it
I
the
know,
same
I
way
know.
you're fighting?
It's so freaking eras. Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. Yep, I totally get that.
Are there any that come to mind that were...
We talking about life or in like an actual match?
You tell me.
Definitely in life. Yeah, there's been some moments where I'm just like, I wish I could take that back. But like at the same time, no, you're right. We go through it for reasons. No, I maybe probably some of the hardest losses for me have always come, ironically enough, outside of the ring more than inside of the ring.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, man, it's life, and just learning to be more grateful too.
Yeah.
Happiness is a choice.
You've done a good job
choosing-
of choosing.
Yeah, because I wasn't always a choice of happiness, you know. But I think just, again, getting clarity since being up here and really talking to people, like the clients that I train and just my friends and stuff, and hearing their stories, like, bruh, like, you don't even know. Like, I'm just like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm just going to shut the up and just listen, you know, because like that just makes it doesn't make me feel better, but like I don't know, it just puts things in, for me personally, it puts things into perspective, and then I'm just like, oh, like I look back at my life and I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess it wasn't all that bad. Yeah, it was, but it, you know,
It could be worse.
it could be worse.
Yeah.
But that's so irritating to admit.
Right?
It is. It's that I don't even know if it's called an oxymoron or whatever, but it's like, yeah, you admitting it and you accept it, but it's still irritating. You know, it's just like, whatever.
It doesn't take... I heard a phenomenal quote the other day. It was a war fighter who'd fought for a long time. And they were talking about, you know, in the veteran community, there's a lot of suicide, there's a lot of PTSD.
Yeah.
And he said, is there anything that you could tell people about what you went through that might help them?
Yeah.
And he said, you know, there's no such thing as more trauma or less trauma. There's not one trauma that's greater than another.
Sure.
You may think that your trauma was not as much as this other person, or your trauma was more than someone else's. But the reality is, trauma is trauma.
Yeah. Trauma is trauma. That is truth. Facts.
Facts.
Boo, boo, boo. No. Just kidding.
Monica,
Like a
I
DJ.
didn't mean to take you down this dark pathway.
No,
I
this
love
is not
talking.
dark. This is not dark. I love talking stories, so you're good.
So the big question is, Utah is an incredibly unique climate, and I'm not just talking about the weather. You've come up in altitude about roughly 5,000 feet above sea level while living at sea level the whole time.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts on Utah. You've now been here for about a year, 2?
No, well, okay. So the Ohana's been here for about 3. I've been back and forth. So yeah, I mean, a cumulative year and a half-ish.
Okay.
I mean, altogether, it's not the worst place in the world. I mean, my social life I do miss, but whatever. It's not like it's something that is needed right now, especially with what I'm like focusing on and everything. Anyways, I mean, I miss home a lot. I do. I miss the ocean. But I try to take what I can over here. Definitely the cold does get to me for sure. But when it gets super, super snowy and like the snow builds up and stuff like that, I kind of pretend that it's sand. So I'll like put on like snow stuff and just go like walking, you know, to like get shit out. Cause I cannot like stay in the house. You know, I gotta have fresh air. I gotta be out doing something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when that happens, yeah, so I pretend that that's the sand. I mean, I find, yeah, I look for the good in it. The people are definitely, they're chill, you know, at least the people I associate with. I mean, you come across your interesting people every now and again for sure. But like more than not, like, the people up here are pretty chill for sure. And, but I do miss home.
I see a lot of clips of you heading up hills.
Yeah.
Is that what you tend to do, is take advantage of the altitude?
I do. Yeah, I'm really trying to, especially now with, you know, Clear Path and all that stuff. Cause I mean, I mean, like I talked about, now it's the time. So it's like Utah is just, you know, altitude, focus, building business, which is what I should have been doing a while ago anyways, you know, focusing on the fighting. Yeah, just really trying to take advantage of that altitude, the cardio, pumping in that Clear Path, you know, so
There's
rock and roll.
Probably the most famous Greco-Roman wrestling coach in the United States was Dan Gable.
Okay.
And one of the things, I don't know if he was the first to do it, but one of the things he would have his guys do is they would go to altitude to train.
Sure.
And I mean, I think there's a reason that there's several Olympic training centers.
Sure.
You know, in Utah and Colorado because of the altitude.
Yeah. You do have some of your freak of natures. Like my friend Rob, he's a BKFC fighter, and like that shit don't bother him. I'm just like, bruh, like, okay, well, it bothers me, okay? So, but like for him, like he can just adapt really well. But
is he back in Hawaii or is he here?
No, he lives in South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
He's in one of the Carolinas, north or south. Yeah, one of those. But
and altitude doesn't affect him?
I guess not. But for me, I mean, for a lot of people, it does.
Oh, for the majority.
You know?
Yeah. I first moved up here from San Diego, and San Diego is a very active town. You spend all your time outside. And so I didn't train at all for a physical agilities test that I had to take. And I remember I was coughing up a lung, and it was like, that was just a mile and a half. You know what I mean? So that's when I realized altitude was different. The other thing is I went to San Francisco and tested for a fire thing, and I smoked it. Absolutely smoked it, because I'd been at altitude for 15 years before I did it, and so I noticed it makes a difference.
I mean, I felt like it did in Florida, you know, the combo of the two, which makes me wonder. I'm like, yeah, the altitude does make a difference. Why isn't the Utah Jazz and like, you know, why are they not better? Not just kidding. I'm just joking. Why don't they have all these championships? No, I'm just jokes. I'm just joking. But yeah, I mean, yeah, man, I think that this journey has been pretty extraordinary, you know, the more I look back on it. And I'm just excited to like continue seeing where it goes, and whatever I can do to just add value. That's where I'm at in my life now. Like I love fighting. I love it all. And I'm going to continue doing it because I love it. But honestly, it's just like however we can add value, you know.
Yeah,
the world is such a like crazy place right now, and I mean people are really struggling on, you know, whether it's like financially, mentally, whatever's, but like, you know, if we can bring value through our service and our work, and you know, through means like this, then, you know, hopefully that's gotta count for something. You know,
I would always want you in my corner.
Yeah, bro. I mean, because I'm one of those, like, even if like the battle is like I'm losing it, I'm like, you know, like the Spartan. We're going down in glory. You know, like, like,
right.
It is what it is, bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So when I do take the muscle, I notice when I am training that because with boxing and stuff like that, especially BKFC, I'm always getting low, staying low. And I do notice a difference as far as my lactic acid buildup and how it's more tolerable for me. Like I do last longer, like the lactic acid buildup, you know. I do feel a difference with that. So
it's interesting that that's what you focus on, because I think the absolute gold medal of sports ingredients is beta-alanine. Any supplement that doesn't have beta-alanine in it, it's not truly a sports supplement, because of the effects on the lactic acid, right? But it's more than just one ingredient, or else all we would do is just go take beta-alanine, right? The other thing, in order for the beta-alanine to do its work, it's got to be there. And so the product works together to take that really valuable ingredient and get it everywhere. So you notice in your legs because that's what you're working, right?
Yeah. That's where a lot of it is. And
different athletes different parts of their body, it's going to be important at that time for them to not have the obstruction. So lactic acid is actually like the way the body splints an injury. I mean, it's not to that extreme.
Sure.
Like we haven't created an injury, but the body recognizes that we're going down the path of creating an injury. So for example, if you didn't take anything and you took a 25-pound dumbbell and you did this 1,000 times, right? Yeah. When you put the dumbbell down, your arm would not straighten back out. Like the lactic acid would fill up all those muscles with lactic acid, right? But in trying to override what the body naturally is doing to protect you, it enables you to tear those muscles down a little bit better so that they're going to grow.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why I say it's like the king of the sport supplements, is because beta-alanine pushes back that threshold of pain. Right. Because really that's what it boils down to. What you're noticing is, hey, that wasn't as bad as I expected it to be, right?
Yeah, because I mean, at the highest levels, you're always wanting to push. You're always going to be like, to some degree, but just that real little bit always makes a difference, you know? Yeah. And every time I do notice that it's just the conditioning is, for me, getting better. I genuinely feel that, you know? Yeah. So I don't know, like, if there's like things going on in the L-arginine that helps with any of that stuff as well. But I mean, because I combo the two every time, you know, I train.
So the interesting thing about L-arginine, it's two different processes that you're working on. But if you look back about 2014, almost every pre-workout company on the market all of a sudden said new and improved. Right? And the reason that it became new and improved is because research came out that led us to realize that even though the studies show the value of L-arginine in the muscle, it wasn't making it to the muscle because it had to go through a batch of acid first. Okay. Through our stomach, right? Oh, okay. And so that leads us to another important ingredient that we have in muscle, which is agmatine sulfate. Agmatine sulfate doesn't sound anything like L-arginine, but what it is a more complex molecule of L-arginine that will make it through the stomach acid and go to our skeletal muscle, right? Now, the reason why straight up L-arginine, our other product, L-arginine Plus, the reason that benefits you is just because it's not making it to your skeletal muscles doesn't mean that when it's broken down in the stomach acid, it doesn't end up in the bloodstream. Okay. So now the effects are on your smooth muscles, which are your blood vessels, your heart, your respiratory system. Okay. And so that's why it's a phenomenal cardio product. It's very healthy for the heart. Even though the heart's a pump, the heart and the lungs can't be separated. If you stop one of them, the other one's going to stop. Right. They're kind of part of the same circuit. And so to make the heart really healthy, to make the vascular system really healthy, to support the lungs, it's just this really good team. And so that's sort of where the L-arginine comes in and helps you with that part of your training or that part of your fighting.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because you've been working on this product for a while too, yeah? Yeah. So that's how you know it's like legit too, because it's been like when people put time and like passion and, I mean, you know it's good. So it's
it's a process. I don't know, this might be a bad thing, but for the most part, I'm a little skeptical. Like I want to see that it works. It doesn't matter that someone said this is what it's supposed to do. And when I was designing originally Grow Buff, but now Grow Muscle, I dug into the research first in order to select what it was that was going to be included, but I wanted to feel the difference. And so as I tested it out to see if the new ingredient would make a difference in what the other ones were doing.
Yeah.
If it didn't make a difference, it didn't matter what the paperwork said. It didn't matter what the study said. And in that process, I'll give you one example. L-carnitine has some great research, right? That was probably an ingredient that I stayed on way longer than I should have because I wasn't getting anything from it. But I couldn't accept the fact that it was not what the research said, because the research is phenomenal, right?
Sure.
It wasn't,
That's
and
true.
so eventually I dropped it from it, right?
Yeah.
But eventually what I ended up finding, because it's an ongoing learning process, like why does it do this? I know it says that, but why do I feel this? Why is the combination of these other ingredients? How did we get here? You know what I mean?
Right.
And what I found was that I didn't know initially was that two of the other ingredients, when combined, create L-carnitine. And I didn't know that. And so it wasn't that L-carnitine didn't work. It's that I was already getting the max benefit from L-carnitine without L-carnitine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's fascinating. The human body, we've all got one.
Yes.
You know, it fascinates me that people are not more interested in the most intimate thing that we have. It's our own body. It's going to be with us throughout this entire process, you know?
That's so true. No, I mean, it's legit. My cousin ordered some, and he takes all this energy shit and everything like that. And that's my ride or die. He's my brother for life. But even though he's my cousin, we've been through stuff together.
Right.
But, he's been on some things to where you are wired it as hell.
Right.
So him hopping onto this, he's just oh man, I feel like I'm on drugs again. It's just so funny.
Right.
I'm just but but he likes it a lot. You know, he gets the energy. I'm on 2 scoops. He's on 1 scoop. I'm try to do 2 scoops. He's oh, okay. He do 2 scoops. He's just oh, I can feel the tingling now. I'm oh, bro. But he's good on the one scoop for now. He's cool on the 1 scoop, but he can handle the 2 scoops. But he doesn't feel the tingly unless it's 2 scoops.
Yeah.
Which is weird. He still feels the benefits of the 1 scoop.
Right.
The energy, and he can last long. But why do you think he only feels the tingly with 2?
Okay, this is going to be a rabbit hole. You ready?
Yeah.
So another name for niacin is NAD. That's the molecular name for it, right?
Yeah.
In our bodies, all of our cells take in nutrients as they need them, but when they digest something, it creates a waste. I call it a poopy diaper because it's just like us. We consume stuff and we create a waste, right?
Yeah.
Well, they don't want that poopy diaper inside the cell any more than we want that poopy diaper inside of our car, right? But it's too dense to go back across the wall of that cell. And we're talking muscle, brain, nerve cells, all the cells, bone cells, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so our body has something called a transport enzyme that helps pull things across the barrier that are too dense. And it's a transport enzyme, but ironically, guess what it's called? NADH.
Oh, okay.
And so hydrogen is the H. It's the most abundant fuel source in the universe. What happens is we take in that high dose of NAD, and our body says, let's get rid of the poopy diapers first. And so it adds a hydrogen to it, takes all those toxins out of the cells. They end up in the bloodstream. And then another system in the body freaks out and says, holy cow, we're going septic. In other words, our bloodstream is full of toxins, right?
Yeah.
So it releases histamine. And so that histamine is what causes the flush. That's what causes the tingle, because you've just opened the floodgates. Every single blood vessel down to the smallest one is now as wide as it can go.
Because the body thinks that is releasing waste, or thinking it's releasing waste, or it is.
No, it is releasing waste, but the histamine, as soon as the histamine gets there, it goes, oh, This is not some foreign toxin that we've been exposed to. This isn't a poison.
Right.
This isn't something that we need to fight. It's normal biological waste. It's just in such high quantities
Right.
that
But hence the tingling
yes,
effect, because it's just flushing shit
from
out.
everything moving through your body. All the blood and lymph is now moving through your body. And so
Okay.
it kind of creates like a false allergic reaction. The reason I say it's a false allergic reaction is because it'll never affect your airway. It doesn't obstruct your airway.
I got
or
a story
anything.
for you after you say that. That's why I'm laughing. I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to
you're
like.
good.
I didn't mean to like.
That's all I was gonna say.
No, because when you said false allergic reaction, that was like what he was telling me. He's like, holy shit, I thought I was getting an allergic reaction. I thought I was like turning all red. I thought I was going to die. I was checking my throat if it was going to swell.
Right.
I was just like, oh, hell. But yeah, I didn't mean to like cut
You don't know
off
how
there.
many people I've had to talk off the ledge. That's why I give people my cell phone number. I'm like,
Yes,
okay, look,
yes.
I know you think I'm overhyping this, but promise me you'll
Yeah.
call me. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
it's like, it's okay. This is normal. You're completely, it's healthy. It's healthy, but it's a new sensation.
Sure.
People are not expecting
Yeah.
to feel anything other than caffeine. And the sad thing is, sports supplement technology has not progressed. We're talking
Weird,
about 20,
yeah.
30 years of let's just go to caffeine. Let's just go to stimulant. You know what I mean?
You would think in this day and age too, you would think that it wouldn't be like that.
We're going to start that change.
Yes, no, for sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I did max out at 3 scoops. I think I had to back down. I was just like, okay, maybe 3 scoops might be a little bit too much. Then I went 2.5. But then I was just like, I know Tony takes like 2 or maybe 2-ish. I forget what she said. But like, I was like, okay, maybe I'll go back to 2 because I don't want to go overboard.
So let's go back to the wonderful gold star of sports supplements, beta alanine.
Yeah.
Beta alanine is phenomenal, but it can be really harsh on your stomach. In fact, initially, this is so powerful that we had to find a way to get it out of the stomach as fast as we could. It's better absorbed in the intestines anyway, but we just don't want all the negative effects of this power being negative. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we found an ingredient that speeds it through the stomach into the intestines. We talked about some people are like, well, I take it on an empty stomach and I get a different response than when I take food. And I think part of that might be the full stomach might slow down the ability of the body to move it into the intestines. Because a lot of people, when they think about a pre-workout, they're like, okay, take it half an hour before I get to the gym. I'll take it at home. So that's what they're used to. And I have to tell people all the time, I'm like, set your bag down in the gym and take it. Because it's going to hit you within less than 5 minutes.
Yep.
The majority of the people that I'm talking to or that are freaking out, they're usually in their car. You know, they're on their way to the gym. I'm like, it's okay. This doesn't last forever. It's not.
You know what though? I don't like taking it in the car. Like if I have to go like a little bit of a longer ride because I start to feel the tingle and I start doing this. I'm like, okay, I gotta move. I gotta move. Like if not, like I'm like
Yeah, for me it's in the gym. Someone comes up and they want to talk, and I'm like I don't want to waste the flush. You know, I gotta go work out.
Yep, I know that feeling, but yeah, that it's intense, but I like it. I mean,
it's addicting. I like it.
No, but what I really like about it too, that's another thing that caught my attention when I was talking to Steve about it, was I heard when they were talking that it was like majority all natural, you know. And then I know there's like a little bit of caffeine and stuff, but I mean, caffeine is natural too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's what drew my attention too, was the fact that it was just all natural ingredients. And I am super like sensitive to shit. Like Red Bull and Monster and all that stuff just like jacks my heart up and stuff. Like I don't like that feeling.
Right.
Like this one like gets a pump, you know, it gets you, but it doesn't make you feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't make you feel that the way like Red Bull does or Monster or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I never really took Monsters, more so Red Bull. I never really took much of stuff, to be honest with you, that accelerated my heart because of like the drug addiction that I had. And then I overdosed on ice one time. And like since that had happened, like whenever I take uppers and I felt like these like weird heart palpitations, I was just like, no, fuck that. So,
Right.
you know, I stayed away from stuff that was like uppers.
Right.
And I was a little hesitant when I did, when I was talking to Steve about it, but the all natural, and then I was just like, nah, I gotta take this chance. And then, yeah, I mean, it's working out for me for sure.
We're glad you did. We appreciate it.
Oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You help us perfect it.
Yeah, Brad. No,
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's good stuff.
So I talked about how we want to try and move all that strong, all that powerful ingredients into the intestines so it can be absorbed better and so you don't get an upset stomach from it.
Yeah.
The way that we did that is a product called highly branched chain dextrin. And that's just a side effect of highly branched chain dextrin. Dextrin is a sugar, right? And if you look at like the perfect pre-workout, like you would think it would be sugar, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is if we take too much sugar, we have a system in our body that counteracts it, that releases insulin. And if you release insulin, you want to take a nap. Like you're going to crash. And so it wastes all of the benefit that you think that you're going to get from sugar.
Sure.
We see little kids and we get them all hopped up on sugar and we think, okay, that's what I want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reason that happens is because our entire body, every system in our body basically runs on glucose. No matter what nutrient we take in, our body's going to convert it in some way to be used as a sugar, as glucose. And the reason we know that is because there's a cycle where we take one molecule of glucose and we convert it, called the citric acid cycle or the Krebs cycle, into roughly 30 molecules of ATP. And I don't mean to, this is why it gets a little bit,
No, it's okay.
a little bit geeky, right?
No, yeah, geeky is great.
ATP benefits everything.
I heard about the ATP thing.
And so the highly branched chain dextrin, the reason that we use it is just like the agmatine sulfate, it's a much more dense molecule. Okay. And so it gets broken down slowly. And so we have found a way to maximize the amount of glucose that we can release from the highly branched chain dextrin without causing an insulin spike. And it's not true sugar per se. Like anybody who knows ketosis, they don't want something that's going to knock them out of ketosis.
Sure.
And so sometimes it's misunderstood and people think, oh gosh, I don't want to take that because it'll kick me out of ketosis. It's a very complex sugar that is only released very small amounts at a time. And so it doesn't affect ketosis.
Yeah.
So you can stay in ketosis and still use it.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I know that's kind of a long explanation.
No, I like that because that's good to know about the whole ketosis thing. Like I do both. I train with it fasted. Like I'll do it fasted. And then I've done it like when I eat. For me, I mean, I think I personally like the way I perform when there's less in my system. So like, I know if it's fight night or something, I know that I'm going to just be eating light and then I'll pop in, my drink like before I go out and compete.
Yeah.
But I personally like it on a more empty or lighter stomach. For me at least.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But everybody's different, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that.
So that's
Yeah.
that.